A very good evening to all of you who have joined. And once I start, I'm sure there will be a couple of them who will keep joining this session. Good evening in advance to all of them. I welcome you all on behalf of Aacharan to this brand new webinar where we're going to discuss about differentiation strategies, profitable differentiation strategies to help our business stand out. Some of you know me, some of you don't, so I'll start formally with an introduction. Before that, I'm sharing a screen for a PPT that we have made, for a deck that we've made. Deepali, Bhagyashri, Prasad, one of you, can you just confirm if you are able to see this?
Yes, we can see that.
You can see. Okay. Awesome. So, about us, about Aacharan Consulting in specific, we are a business strategy consulting firm. We also do trainings, behavioral trainings. We are based out of Pune, and just recently last year we moved into East also. It's been roughly 6 years, 6+ years in business. What we do is we help our clients maximize their potential, and we also help them stand out from their competitors. Now, how we help our clients maximize their potential is by impacting or bringing about a measurable impact on their people, process, and profits. And how we help them stand out. Well, technically, the webinar today is based on that aspect of our business. How we help our clients devise a strategy that helps them look different in the competition. Now, firstly, let me take you to. Oh, most of you know me. For those who don't, I've got roughly 15 years of experience in this field, and I have learned strategy consulting from IIM Bangalore. And in this short career, I've had the privilege of working with diverse sectors, companies of various scales. So I've been trying to put all that together and bring it out to you in this session. Now, the context, why this webinar is important is because times are changing. I am not the first one to tell you all that we are going through a very, very turbulent time. There are sudden surprises, there are shocks, almost shocks every day. Markets are changing, market demands are changing, consumer behaviors are changing. Now, the onus is on the MSME especially for us to change and adapt to this change as quickly as possible, just so that we don't miss out on opportunities that this market brings. There are a lot of depressing news about how the market will behave or is behaving. Some of them are true also, but as an entrepreneur, how much choice do we really have rather than focus on these news? Stay positive, and being positive is the only choice we are left with. So when I talk to MSMEs, when I've been interacting with companies of medium, small, or micro stature, I've always seen them come, design their strategy based on, okay, not always, but most times I've seen them design their strategies based on how the competition is, what are the other big players and what they are doing. Now, I firmly believe that for a company to do well and to have a loyal customer base, what is more important is to keep the customers themselves at the core of the strategy and not have the competition at the core. Okay, so that was the core agenda of why is this webinar important. Okay, when we move out of the lockdown, some states, some people, some amongst you must have already moved out of the lockdown. Most of the market is making attempts or drawing out strategies to how to come out of this of this lockdown. Now, what will happen is, again, I see that there will be a mad rush when it comes to marketing, when it comes to when it comes to promoting their businesses. People, I think, like always, will throw discounts, throw offers left, right, and center to just attract whatever market share they can. Now, while some of that may be necessary, there are some things that we need to be cautious about. Okay, so what does differentiation bring? Okay, first thing, the first benefit is it helps you brand. Now, for people who understand marketing here and for ones who don't, let me tell you one of the key things of marketing is a touch point. Touch point, that point that you get to interact with your customers, with your market. Okay, so when you have a differentiation in place, you get that much extra touch point, that much extra narration, a story to be told to your clients when it comes to interacting with them, and that story, that narration stays with them, and that in turn becomes something that they can relate to your business, which is in short brand. So if you have a differentiation, it becomes a very big tool when it comes to branding. Second point that differentiation helps in is specialization. Now, I think most of us will relate to this example. When if you have been a part of a small village, or if you have lived in a small village for some time, you would have always seen that there was one doctor for any problem you had. May it be your knee, your bones, your joints, your fever, your stomach, whatever. Most problems, you would go to that one doctor, right? But now, when you come to cities, the markets that are bigger, evolved markets, here we have ophthalmologists, whatnots. Right? So we have specialists for every secreting gland of the body, every bone of the body almost. Now, what it says is, once the market size has grown, once the market needs have evolved, a need for specialization also evolves. Right? I'm going to explain this in a little more detail going ahead. I'll take you to the third benefit, which is on uncontested markets. Now, once you have a differentiation, it makes it easy for you to create a market that does not have a lot of competitors. It helps you create an uncontested market. Okay. Now, again, it needs to be smartly done, and how we again are going to discuss through the webinar. And point number 4 is it helps you be proactive rather than be reactive. Now, people who keep competition at the core, if the competition has taken its price down, there is no choice but for you to take your prices down. If the competition has added a feature, you have to add a feature, right? So what is essentially happening is you as a business are always left into reacting to what your competition has done, and that can substantially affect your plans, your investments, your bottom lines, your top line sometimes. So how about having something that helps you become proactive rather than be reactive? If you are the one who's calling the shots, it's always a comfortable situation for an entrepreneur. I'm sure you would agree. I'll start with what are the types of differentiators first. Okay, so there are 6 on your screen. Product differentiators. There are companies. There are lots of them. This is, I think, one of the most traditional route of differentiating. Creating a product which is different, which is unique, which nobody else is serving. If you're doing that, then you are into product differentiation category. There could be service differentiator, like for example, there could be a airline. There could be lots of airlines, and then there could be an airline which comes with a premium service only. So that becomes a service distinguishing. Third point could be pricing. You can have a price which is very, very different from the market. Now, when I say different, that doesn't necessarily mean low price. Sometimes even higher than market price could become a differentiator. Sometimes the way you have packaged your price, I mean, inclusions, a combination, a package of sorts, can also become your differentiator under pricing. There is distribution differentiator. There are so many companies who disrupt traditional routes, traditional distribution cycles, supply chains, and once they disrupt it, even if they change or tweak or innovate one mode of that distribution network, that could mean immense profits or immense recall as a brand for that company. Okay. There is an interesting example that we're going to discuss towards the end of this session. One of the other differentiators could be team. You can have a team of people who are very different, who have themselves a brand recall by themselves. Sometimes you can have one member in your team, maybe your founder, maybe your strategic advisor, maybe a brand ambassador at time, or you can have a set of team coming from very heavily set credentials that can be a differentiator. And lastly, you can also create a differentiator basis experience that you're catering to your customers. Like for example, real estate companies do this a lot. When it comes to buying an apartment, it's almost the same. I mean, when you think about features, most of these bigger projects would give you almost similar features. There's hardly anything that you can choose. So what do they do is, once a customer has walked into their premises, into their sales office, what they're now working towards is creating an experience differentiator, where some companies take you to a room where there is a movie theater of sorts made. They get you to see a movie, how this project would be a futuristic experience, things like that. So you can very well differentiate basis experience that your customer is having, even while making an inquiry. Okay. Now, we are going to look at so what we looked at was types of differentiators. Now we're going to actually look at, under each type, we can have 6 type of differentiators. Now, when we say 6 differentiators, that doesn't necessarily mean that this list is exhaustive. We can add, if we are innovative enough, we can add more, we can add less. These are things that I could think of, that I have seen my clients benefit. But again, not to say that these are the only differentiators. So the first differentiator that I want to talk about is domain. Okay? Now, a domain doesn't mean industry. Domain is an area that you're working in, area of your expertise or area of your avenue of business. But that doesn't necessarily mean industry. Now, what am I saying? What am I talking about here is, you can have, let's say, you can be working in hospitality industry, but your domain could be budget hotel. You can be catering as a restaurant. You can be catering. You can be in the F&B industry, but your domain could be Chinese specialty or a continental specialty or whatever. Right? So domains are different from industry. Now, it is much rather advisable for businesses of our structure to have to define a domain and then stick to it, build specialization. What happens is, over, let's say, 5, 6 years, or whatever course of time it takes for the name to get registered in your market, in that time you're also registering yourself, you're also setting up yourself as an authority, as a specialist in that domain. So if you are able to create a domain differentiator, then I think that's one of the key ways to set yourself as specialist. Okay. The basic essence of this differentiation is, as an entrepreneur, it is worthwhile remembering that we cannot, or we shouldn't try to be everything to everybody. Now, I see this a lot when I discuss business ideas with wannabe startups, or people who are wanting to get into entrepreneurship, or wanting to make it big or grow or scale up. Most generally, they are consumed by an idea of acting like a one-stop shop. Now, if it is good, if it is good, if it is working, if it is thoroughly researched, nothing like it. But generally, in my experience, I've seen that although it might sound logical, but somehow market doesn't work that way. Somehow market has a limited ability to retain information about your specialization. Again, to give you an example from the restaurant industry, you might go to a restaurant and see the menu, but you will not remember all of the menu. But I'm sure you will definitely remember the cuisine that they were serving, or the cuisines that they were serving. So if there are 2 or 3 things your market will remember you for those. There are plenty of things. They might say yes, they might like the idea because it sounds logical, but once it comes to doing business, they would still go to a specialist. Now, a very big example that I want to give here is a platform called as BookMyShow. Okay, I'm sure most of you here have used that platform. BookMyShow specializes in booking movie tickets or play tickets or event tickets, basically. Um, so Paytm also does that, and there are quite a few other engines who also do that. But BookMyShow, uh, after its inception, for the first 4 years, it continuously registered a 40% CAGR year on year, and it has also taken its revenue, I think, 400 times in the last 10 years. It's one of the biggest names in that industry, and it has around 90% market share. Now, what does it tell us? Is although Paytm has that option, although others have that option, other bigger giants have that option, nobody is coming even closer to BookMyShow's market share. Because when you think of booking a movie ticket, that is the first name that crosses your mind. Even Just Dial experimented with an idea of coming up with an app of having all these services: travel, booking movie tickets, booking bus tickets, booking everything on one app. In fact, they were promoting themselves also like one, because it does sound logical. Once you've built a platform, it does sound logical that why will people install so many apps for different services? Let's do one thing. Unfortunately, I think BookMyShow's case study is a good enough proof that it doesn't happen this way. Okay. I'll move to the second differentiator, which is tools. Now, quite often, the difference between the top guy in the industry and the second guy or the other guys in the industry quite often is the tools that they use. Tools, I'm sure I'm not the first one again to tell you this, that tools are something that enhances your productivity and helps you give a defined product every single time. It helps you improve consistency. So it is about better tools, it is about unique tools, and if you are using them, you can become a big differentiator. Yeah, a unique. You can bring in a uniqueness in the market. Now, let me give you an example here of a pharma company, Indian pharma company called Dr. Reddy's. Okay, Dr. Reddy's was like like always, pharma sector is under heavy competition. Dr. Reddy's rose up quickly in this market, and one of the key reasons was it was using MES products. MES is manufacturing execution systems. So they were using MES tools to minimize human intervention in their processes, b optimize their productivity, their output, their processes, and lastly to adhere to FDA norms. Pharma industry is one industry where it is heavily regulated, heavily controlled. There are very strict, sophisticated norms. So they use this tool, MES tools, to come to prominent levels in the market today. And we all know what Dr. Reddy's is today. Especially if you're a stock market investor, you would know it even better, right? So difference between your competitor and you is seldom your intellectual abilities. A lot of entrepreneurs, again, in especially in micro and small scale, tend to believe that their product is so intellectual, it is going to solve people's needs. It's like a blessing sent by the God himself on this earth. And it may not be wrong, I'm not contesting that, but here's the point. Everybody would like to think so. What matters is to the market is what tools are you using, how, what domain are you working in, and how are you making it unique. Okay. Third thing that can act as a differentiator is your methodology. Great organizations or big organizations always pay a lot of emphasis on how they are doing things rather than what they are doing. I think it was Ketan who has also famously said that leaders don't do different things, but they do things differently. Same things differently. I think that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of depth. There's more depth than it meets the eye in this statement. And I can elaborate this with an example of a restaurant chain again called Barbecue Nation. Okay. What it did is it came up with a mechanism to serve piping hot starters, barbecues on your table, irrespective of the season. Everybody fantasizes that idea of doing their own barbecue. They brought it in reality. Also, the way they serve is, I'm sure you must have come across this some of the other time, that at one particular point in time in the service cycle, all of their team gets together and starts dancing on a song. Now, it may not, if you strictly look at it in logical sense, if somebody is dancing out there, how does it make my meal any different? That might occur to any logical thinker's mind. But here's the point: this experience, this methodology of delivering is very different, and it stays in your mind because it has got something to do with the experience that you had here. You've never seen your service staff, the team at the restaurant dance and jump around when you're having your food. That's something unique. So, and we all know again how and where Barbecue Nation is sitting today. The next point that I want to take your attention to is quality. Quality is cliched as a word. Quality is overhyped only because everybody likes to talk about quality. I haven't seen a single businessman in my entire career who said that I don't focus on quality. Everybody does. And yet customers come up with statements like, this is not good quality, or this is what I call quality. Now, one thing about quality is nobody knows what is quality. It is very subjective. It is something like to each his own. Um, as an entrepreneur, then how do you deal with this? I will um, I will give you an example of CCD. Okay, I'm sure again all of us have at some point in time been to CCD, had their coffee. I don't know if their coffees are the best coffees in the world when it comes to quality. I don't know. I also don't know who serves the best coffee in the world because the answers could be different for different people. Now, what CCD has done is set a benchmark to its own quality. Now, I think that is how entrepreneurs need to look at quality. If they're especially focused on setting quality as a differentiator, you must look at it in this way that you need to define what quality would mean in your organization. I also, when I do business diagnosis for my clients before entering into an assignment, a lot of times in the focus group interviews, the management team says that our vision is quality. Now, quality is not a vision. In fact, quality needs a vision. You know, you need a vision that in so much time, or in this time frame, or in this framework of operations, this is where my product will go. And once you have defined that, as an entrepreneur, it is your task to stick to this defined quality. Now, there could be a lot of people who would not like it or like it, but if you keep changing it according to how your customers dictate it, then again you're going to have a problem defining quality. So don't make it a visionary statement. Make a vision for quality instead, and then stick to it. So, like, if you go to any outlet of CCD anywhere in India or abroad, you will always find the cappuccino taste the same way. Okay? The taste wouldn't differ. So it may not be the best, it may not be whatever, but one thing is you are guaranteed of a similar experience every time, and that's what they define as quality. Okay. I move to the next point, which is innovation. Now, innovation is again I'm sorry, another highly hyped word in corporate jargons. What does it basically mean? It is that point where your predefined quality ends, and now you are, as an entrepreneur, thinking about what can you do better. It doesn't, again, I repeat, it doesn't have to be just about the product. Innovation doesn't have to be innovating in the product. Innovation, again, as the word might mislead, doesn't necessarily have to be about technology alone. In fact, I for one firmly believe that innovation has to be this word has to be better termed as value innovation. You know, as an entrepreneur, you need to have one eye always on the value that you are going to build through innovation. Like, for example, SpaceX as a company, they have launched that company is on a mission of taking people to, taking civilization to Mars, and they're doing phenomenal job when it comes to being innovative in the field of technology to be able to do that. And here's my point: how many of, so okay, they have their market defined. I'm not challenging them, but then for us to do something like that, even if we are successful, but if we don't find a utility point, if we don't find this innovation offering any value to our customers, of it being of any use to our customers, what is the point in such an innovation? So I think what industry needs, I don't know about the bigger companies, but strictly speaking about MSMEs, what they need is rather value innovation than just technical innovation. Okay. So that's why I've written this point, that it has to be aligned with utility and cost. In marketing, one of the basic principles is your customers will buy your product if they have A, willingness to buy it, B, backed by an ability to buy it. Now, even if you go out on the street randomly asking people that would you like to one day go on Mars, 9 out of 10 people would say yes, just because of the sheer adventure and thrill that it could bring as a concept. How many of them would have the ability to pay for it? I don't know. Right? So, yeah, so in marketing, they say that buying decision would happen when there is willingness backed by an ability to buy. So be conscious of be conscious of of that fact. And if innovation is your differentiation, it should answer one simple question for you, for the market: that what is it that you're doing which is different from anybody else? Simple as that, right? I move to the last differentiator that I would be discussing, and that is branding. I'm sorry, before I move there, I want to give you an example of innovation happening in Indian industry. There's a company called Mindtree Consulting. I'm sure all of you have heard of it. It's one of the biggest IT companies that India has produced, one of the biggest. Uh, but I don't see, I don't call them biggest because of revenues, because they're not in terms of revenue. But what makes it bigger for me is their sheer passion for innovation. I think they have imbibed innovation into their culture. So I have rarely seen an Indian company at that level to be able to do that. Okay. I move to branding. Now, when I say branding, firstly, I think it is, as a consultant, it's my responsibility to first clear out what is not branding. So, first thing is, branding is not advertising. A lot of people confuse branding for advertisement. Also, branding is not USP. There's a lot of emphasis put on this word called unique selling proposition. Your brand is going to be built around unique selling proposition. Why I think it is branding is not USP is because USP, unique selling proposition, deals with features. Yeah, it talks about features. Like, for example, when you switch on your television sets, you see a mobile phone company advertising its latest model, and then it talks about something really out of the world that they've brought in this mobile. Okay, like recently I saw a lot of companies, but the first company, whoever must have come with this, they came up here on advertisement platforms and said that this is our newest offering, A50 or whatever, and this has a pop-up camera. Okay, very good. What happens is, in less than a month's time, almost every major player in the market has one or two brands in their fleet that has pop-up camera. So the problem with branding or trying to brand on the basis of USP is it is very easily copyable. It is very easily imitable. It's in fact, we are living in a market where it's not anymore about first comers advantage. In fact, first comers sometimes are at a disadvantage, especially in the technology industry, because the second or third or next comers get to study their failures and improve their offering even better. Right? So be cautious friends, do not position your businesses based just on USP. USPs are important, unique selling propositions are important, but it's not just about USP. So now I think I've told you about what it is not, what it is. So brand is about UVP. Now, what is UVP? It is unique value proposition. Um, for example, if I say, I'll call out a name of a product that you need, and then I'll just focus on what comes to your mind first.
Ketan, voice is breaking. Hello?
Is it? When did you
Yeah,
hear me?
yeah, just what when you started this sentence, I think it was not clear.
Uh,
Can you
did,
repeat?
did you hear I talking about USP and UVP?
Yes.
Okay. Is this better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So thank you for the feedback. Okay, sorry, I got derailed. UVP, unique value proposition. Okay, I am going to call out names of products and just focus yourself, guys. Focus on what name, what company's name does come first to your mind. Okay, let me say mobile phones. I'm sure you're thinking about Apple or OnePlus or Nokia or some of these names. If I say soap, you must be thinking of Dove, Liril, something like that. If I say cars, you will come up with some name. If I say shoes, you will come up with Reebok, Nike. Now, what are we talking about here is brand is also a mind share in its consumer's mind. When I am, as a consumer, when I am faced with a need of a certain product, that's when I think of one product or one brand, okay, one or two, and I make my buying decision based on that. That is your branding.
Ketan, your voice is breaking.
Am I okay now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to speak as slowly as possible. Uh,
Okay.
is this okay now, Dipali? Can you just give me a feedback? Yeah.
Yeah, now it's okay, but in between it's breaking. So can
I think even you broke. I can't hear you.
hello?
Yeah, breaking.
Your voice is breaking, Ketan.
Oh, I just got a message on my screen which is saying your internet connection is unstable. I am really sorry, guys. Dipali, can you keep yourself unmuted and just keep telling me when you cannot hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Tashish bhai, Sarang,
Yes, yes,
in between, please
Yes,
back.
yes.
yes. You are getting okay. No worries. No worries.
Okay.
You can continue. Continue.
Yeah. So I was talking about UVPs, unique value propositions and mind share that a company can bring through branding exercises. In fact, brand does mean what mind share are you occupying. It is like saying, for example, if I say when I scroll my contact list and I see, let's say Sarang, I see your name. What is the first thing that comes to my mind? That is how I associate. That is my mind share I have of your own personal brand name, your name, right? That is exactly how market works when it comes to even brand names of companies or products that are selling. Okay, sometimes so much so that we don't even look at what company is the owner of this brand. Okay, so that is branding. It is not USP, it is not advertisement, it is a mind share that you are successfully able to create in your customer's mind. Now let me give you an example here of a very very famous company. I'm sure none of you would have missed its name, and that is Patanjali. Okay, it is a unique story in itself. The rise, the quick rise into that league where they have successfully upset even the biggies of the world when it comes to FMCG industry, like Unilever. They've upset the likes of Unilever, Colgate Palmolive, They've given everybody a run for their money. And if you see, initially, even when they were at least a 2000 crore odd company, until then also, they were not advertising a lot. Okay. What happened is, of course, people were talking about their features, about their products, about how organic they are, how useful they are. But in essence, why did such a lot of market get attracted to Patanjali is because they were successful in touching one core unique value proposition, and that was Swadeshi. They came up, Ramdev Baba himself came up on the screens and said that, here is our company. Here is India's answer to big conglomerates who are selling products at exorbitant rates, at substandard qualities, and taking our Indian money out of India. Right, wrong, I'm not contesting that. All I'm trying to say is they could successfully do that. The core unique value proposition that they based their business on was Swadeshi, and then also high quality products at a at a reasonable price. I think. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that was a very good branding exercise. In fact, a very good example to suggest that not always do you have to advertise to create a brand, right? So these were the differentiators that I could think of. Okay. Now talking about a differentiation strategy. Okay, for me, a differentiation strategy is something that we've already discussed. Is based on three
Your
propositions.
voice
Your
is
voice
gone
breaking
again.
again.
It is breaking again. Okay. Can you now hear me better,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sakshesh bhai?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So differentiation strategy, the pillars of differentiation strategy are just three words: profit, value, utility.
यार
आवाज आ रही है?
नहीं आ रही है. Breaking.
It was breaking in between again.
I don't know. I have no answer to this. All I'm trying. Just give me-
Okay.
अभी आ रही है? अभी ठीक है?
हाँ अभी ठीक है.
अच्छा. So yeah, the core of your differentiation strategy is based on three words: profit, value, utility. As an entrepreneur, I'm sure all of you will agree that you're in the business for profit. अगर आप ऐसा कोई अतरंगी डिफरेंशिएशन करने वाले हो जो आपके प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी को कम कर दे, तो कोई पॉइंट नहीं है इन दैट डिफरेंशिएशन. यू आर इन द बिजनेस फॉर प्रॉफिट. ओके. सेकंड इज वैल्यू. अगर आपके डिफरेंशिएशन से कस्टमर को कोई वैल्यू नहीं मिल रही है, अब वैल्यू से मेरा मतलब है यूटिलिटी भी, उसका कुछ यूज भी होना चाहिए, और साथ ही में वो एक अफोर्डेबल प्राइस पे भी आना चाहिए. एक एग्जांपल मैं यहाँ पे अगेन देना चाहता हूँ. पेपर बोट, अभी हाल ही में ये कंपनी 3-4 साल पहले आई और बहुत अच्छे से अपने आप को मार्केट किया. इसके मार्केटिंग में एक वैल्यू प्रोपोजिशन की बात हुई. कैन यू ऑल हियर मी नाउ? दीपाली, दक्षेश भाई?
Yes.
सो इनकी मार्केटिंग कैंपेन में एक यूवीपी के बारे में बात हुई थी, एक यूनिक वैल्यू प्रोपोजिशन के बारे में बात हुई थी, और वो था नॉस्टैल्जिया. इट वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट कि वो आम पन्ना की एड थी जो मुझे याद है. एक बंदा वो पेपर बोट का आम पन्ना पी रहा है और उसको अपने बचपन में माँ जो आम पन्ना बनाती थी वो याद आ रहा है, ऐसा वो एडवर्टाइजमेंट का बेसिस था. सो उनका सारा जो प्रोडक्ट लाइन है, जूसेस का और सिरप्स का, वो सब कुछ नोस्टैल्जिया पे बेस्ड था. वो उन्होंने अपना एक यूनिक वैल्यू प्रोपोजिशन बनाया. Right? So when you're creating your differentiation strategy, do not forget to have one eye on each of these. Utility, जो मेरा कस्टमर है उसको कुछ इस्तेमाल होना चाहिए मेरे वैल्यू क्रिएशन का, मेरे डिफरेंशिएशन का. आपका प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी होना चाहिए, अदरवाइज वन डे यू विल बी कर्सिंग योर ओन डिफरेंशिएशंस और इनोवेशन. एंड थर्डली, इसमें कुछ एक वैल्यू प्रोपोजिशन बनना चाहिए कस्टमर्स के लिए, मार्केट के लिए. Okay, I'm going to talk about two very interesting case studies specifically on differentiation. ये दोनों नाम आपने सुने हैं मार्केट में, आई एम वेरी श्योर. बीरा, a very catchy, very young, very peppy beer brand that has come into the market. But उससे पहले I will take your attention to Pulse Candy. Again, मुझे यकीन है कि आप लोगों ने ये भी खाया है. Pulse Candy, friends, is one of the brands that has scaled up to a business of 100 crores in less than 8 months without a single rupee spent on branding or advertisement or marketing. Okay. What differentiators it created? Okay. It came up firstly, what it worked on was easy availability. इन्होंने ये सोचा कि मार्केटिंग में पैसा खर्चा करने से अच्छा है, सबसे पहले तो इंडियन मार्केट कैंडी खरीदते वक्त ये नहीं सोचता कि कौन सी कैंडी खरीद रहा है, तो वो ये सोचता है कि वो कुछ और लेने जाता है, तब छुट्टे पैसे के एवज में कभी कभी कैंडी मिल जाती है, तो सबसे पहले तो इस मार्केट को पकड़ो. तो इन्होंने डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन चैनल पे एक डिफरेंशिएटर क्रिएट किया. इन्होंने हर वो पान टपरी, हर वो दुकान जो कैंडी में ट्रेड करती है, उनको भर भर के स्टॉक किया पहले. ठीक है. अब इनका प्रोडक्ट जिन्होंने भी खाया है, आई एम श्योर यू विल बी सरप्राइज. यू द फर्स्ट टाइम व्हेन यू हैड इट, यू वर प्लेजेंटली सरप्राइज्ड. इन्होंने कैंडी, इन्होंने बहुत रिसर्च किया बिफोर कमिंग इनटू द मार्केट. दे स्पेंड 2 years इन रिसर्च. सो एनालिस्ट कहते हैं कि इन्होंने 8 महीने में 100 करोड़ किए, लेकिन एक्चुअली इन्होंने 2 साल और 8 महीने में 100 करोड़ किए. इन्होंने पहले 2 साल रिसर्च किया एंड इन्होंने देखा कि कई बार इंडियंस जो कैंडी खरीदते हैं, कुछ 15 20 30 सेकंड में थूक देते हैं. तो आधी आधी पिघली हुई कैंडीज, half dissolved candies were a common scene near Pantapris in India. Okay, now what happened? They made a survey, and most of their consumers said that the sweetness, the flavor of the candy gets exhausted in the first 30 seconds or a minute, and after that it is just a ball of sugar, which we don't want to have. Okay, but nobody minded. I mean, nobody sent that as a complaint because है ही क्या, 1 रुपए का प्रोडक्ट है, आप क्या ही कंप्लेन करोगे उसके बारे में. But they thought there is an opportunity, so that's where they came up with a 2-layer candy, जिसमें ऊपर पहले कच्चे कैरी का टेस्ट हो मिक्स्ड विद काला नमक, एंड अंदर वो एक यूनिक मसाला है जो बड़ा चटपटा है. अगेन आई थिंक उसमें भी काला नमक है. सो आप जब पहला 30 सेकंड 1 मिनट का बैरियर क्रॉस करते हो ये कैंडी खाने का, तब तक वो फ्लेवर कंज्यूम हो गया, और जब आपने वहां तक पहुंचे हो, वो अपने आप इतना पतला हो गया कि आपको वो सॉल्ट का टेस्ट आने लग जा रहा है. सो एक कैंडी में 2 टेस्ट. पीपल वर सरप्राइज्ड. सेकंड थिंग दैट दे डिड टू बिल्ड अ यूनिकनेस वाज, वो जो रैपर आप देख रहे हो, जनरली अगेन बिकॉज एक लो कॉस्ट प्रोडक्ट है, तो सबने ये सोचा कि 1 रुपए की कैंडी में वो रैपर को डिजाइन करो, उसको अच्छा क्वालिटी का बनाओ, ये सब मगजमारी कौन करे. पर इन्होंने वो की. इन्होंने इस स्केल पे ऑपरेट किया कि वो एक कैची फ्लोरोसेंट ग्रीन एंड ब्लैक का कॉम्बिनेशन बनाया. सो अगेन व्हेन यू गो टू अ शॉप एंड इफ यू वांट टू पिक अ कैंडी, ये सबसे पहले आपकी आंखों में बैठेगी. दे इंश्योर्ड दैट. डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन चैनल के बारे में तो मैं बोल ही चुका हूँ, एंड दे चैलेंज्ड अ नॉर्म ऑफ द मार्केट कि कम पैसे वाली चीजों में डिफरेंशिएशन नहीं हो सकता है. ये जो एक माइंडसेट बना इंडियन मार्केट में, दे चैलेंज्ड इट एंड दे केम अप विद पल्स, एंड rest is like I said, history. You know? They've created 100 crores in the first 8 months, and by as we speak, I don't even know what are their figures. Second case that I want to take you to is Bira. Again, I'm sure quite a few of you know about this brand. Before Bira came, the Indian beer drinking industry was somehow positioned with only couple of types of beer, not flavors of beer. Okay, so flavored beer mein there was no option. Now millennial generation was forced to have beers. If they were to have Indian beers, there was only major players like Kingfisher and Hayward's. Here are these guys who came up with a bold concept of flavored beers, flavored lagers in India. They launched, and again they came up with a funky looking logo. They made it very youthful. They made it something, they understood their market, and they clearly made a strategy to attract or to move into the youth market, the young beer drinking market of India. And again they also focused on distribution channel. They made sure that if people see Bira, they also get Bira. Okay, And they started at one point when they started at a price lower than the market because they were in an experimentation stage. But today they have settled at 10 to 15% above their conventional competitors. That's been their journey, and they've had phenomenal market share. It's a rate. Yes, I'm sure there are. When I speak to people, there are quite a few who say that they just don't like Bira. So yes, you can have strong opinions about Bira, but as a brand, it is definitely registered in people's mind in a very short span. And what is interesting to note is there were heavyweight competitors to this product who were established for more than couple of decades. They challenged all of them, and they created an uncontested market for them. They did not take away Kingfisher's market, or they did take away Kingfisher's market, but they did not directly attack Kingfisher's product. In the beer drinking market, they brought a new product, a new type. And millennials, when they saw Bira, it was like this is what they were wanting always, and somebody has created it. They took it to Bira like that. So these were the two case studies that I wanted to discuss with you all when it comes to differentiation strategies, especially in the Indian context. Okay, before we sum the session up, I want to highlight on certain key points other than the strategies that we've discussed. When we are planning our own differentiation strategy, the first thing to remember is through the example of Bira and not Bira, but Pulse in particular, I have highlighted this, that simultaneous pursuit of cost advantage, of low cost and differentiation is possible. Okay, for people who are on the other side of the 30s here in this group, I'm sure we have all grown up with a conventional thought कि जो सस्ता है उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा innovation या बहुत ज़्यादा differentiation नहीं किया जा सकता है. But these companies, these brands, and then there are 10,000 other cases that are testimony कि कम cost वाली चीजों में भी differentiation किया जा सकता है. मतलब कि cost advantage और differentiation simultaneously pursue करना possible है. Right? Second point that I want you guys to focus on is try to redefine your industry structure. कई बार हम ये सोचते हैं, मैं अगेन कई एंटरप्रेन्योर से मिलता हूँ जो बोलते हैं नहीं यार हमारा जो मार्केट है ये ऐसे ही काम करता है. हाँ तो हाँ, ये मार्केट ऐसे ही काम करता है. तो वही तो बात है, एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर, as somebody who's wanting to make a mark, he can and he must redefine the industry structure, not be bound by how the market is, but you create a new structure to the market, again, which is what somebody like a Bira did. Okay. Thirdly, dare to create demand. हम लोग अगेन स्पेशली एमएसएमई में जहां पर डिमांड क्रिएट करने की बात आती है, हम लोग थोड़ा सा पीछे हट जाते हैं कि who will buy this, is there enough evidence of people who have bought this. तो नहीं है. अगर एविडेंस नहीं है, does it mean that it cannot be done? So उसके लिए थोड़ा सा courage, you need that push to be able to do that. If you have a really brilliant idea, dare to create some demand. You can strategize it without risking it all. You can have pilot products, you can have proof of concepts, you can discuss, you can see, launch it at a smaller scale, just like Pulse did. Take a direct feedback from your customers, see if you're getting a traction, and then launch it big. That is possible. But dare to create demand. अगर so generally it is thought कि business तब होता है जब demand और supply में gap है. Yes, technically yes, or conventionally yes, traditionally yes. लेकिन that means that ऐसा कोई business तभी होगा ही नहीं कि जहां पर demand create नहीं हुई है. If that is true, then you would not be ever carrying a phone that you're carrying, because आप लोगों ने कभी नहीं सोचा था कि ऐसा एक फोन होना चाहिए जिसमें मैं किसी सीरी से बात कर सकूं, जिसमें मैं जिसका कैमरा पॉपअप हो जाए, या जिसमें इतना अच्छा कैमरा हो कि मुझे डीएसएलआर कैमरा ही खरीदना ना पड़े. ये ऐसी सारी चीजें यू नेवर थॉट कि किसी जगह पे पहुंचने के लिए मेरे पास मोबाइल में मैप्स होंगे. आपने नहीं मांगी थी ये चीजें. They anticipated कि ये डिमांड हो सकती है, and they dared to create that demand. And today you're almost finding yourself difficult to navigate without a maps or without this kind of a phone. So they also started it out somewhere. We can also dare to create demand. Next point is look at bigger picture rather than just numbers. Again, this is one thing that stands at direct crossheads with differentiation strategy. अगर आपको यूनिकनेस बिल्ड करना है आपके प्रोडक्ट में, तो आपको एक लॉन्ग टर्म पिक्चर के बारे में सोचना होगा. यू कैन नॉट थिंक अबाउट ये डिफरेंशिएशन कर दूं और 6 महीने में मेरे को कितना बिजनेस आया ये मैं देख लूं. इट डजंट वर्क दैट वे, क्योंकि आपको इस नाम से, इस यूनिकनेस से मार्केट को एसोसिएट करने के लिए थोड़ा सा समय लगेगा. Right? So you will have to be sticking to your grounds. You will have to be sticking to your guns and keep delivering on that uniqueness every single time. Also, why this is important is because एक बार आपने, for example, आपने ये uniqueness बना ली कि मेरे ऑफिस में जब कस्टमर आएगा खरीदी करने, तो he will have an experience like a king. Now, if you're trying to make that as a differentiator, very good. But ये आपको ध्यान रखना होगा कि you have enough plan to be able to do this for until you start breaking even on your monthly costs. तो कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि 3-6 महीने ये कर रहे हो and then suddenly cost उसका इतना ज्यादा है कि now you're not able to do it, and now you are starting to make your customer feel like a prince, and then to a minister in the court, and then to a security guard, and then to somebody who's the least important person in your business. If that is how it happens, then wo jo 6 mahina kiya wo bhi barbaad ho gaya. Right? So please have a big picture in mind, and do not focus on just numbers if you're getting into differentiation as a strategy. Focus. I can't talk enough about focus. Actually, I can't give you enough emphasis on focus. But just to summarize, just to speak in brevity, speak in brief about how important is focus when it comes to differentiation. It is like when we spoke of specialization, okay, you will be, as an entrepreneur, you will always be tempted with opportunities to make money. You will be always tempted with some of the other things that come up to your way, and people saying, yeah, since you're doing this is your market base, why don't you do this also, because that's my market base also, and plus you get to make this much more money. If then making money in the quick run is your only objective, nothing like it. But if you're looking at differentiation, and if you're looking at creating an identity in the market, you may have to stay focused and refrain from those kind of opportunities. Okay. I have a couple of friends, entrepreneur friends, who have since last 10-15 years have stuck in spite of what people said, in spite of how lucrative opportunities they got from people. They stuck to their guns and they are reaping benefits. Now again, focus on for entrepreneur friends especially, focus is a very high risk strategy. It is like putting all your eggs in one basket. It is a high risk, high return strategy. But yeah, high risk and high return. So if you're looking at differentiation to give you high returns, you don't have a choice but to focus. अगर आप 10 चीजें एक साथ करने जाओगे तो your focus, your energies will be distributed in those many things. Okay. Lastly, we have summarized our discussions. We have had almost a 50-minute discussion now, and again there are so many points that I haven't even covered, but I'm sure you know. इसमें से भी बहुत सारी चीजें आपको पता थी, but एक key point है, and that key point is build and then market. Now what I'm necessarily saying here is, ये strategy को बस एक advisory board बोल के ना समझे, एक things to know, एक textbook knowledge की तरह ना देखें. Please try to build these strategies and then also execute. Start marketing on it. You might be brewing the best coffee, but अगर market को पता ही नहीं कि आपकी coffee सबसे अच्छी है, there will be no takers for it. So you have to build uniqueness, but it is also important for you to market it, to be able to make that message reach your audience. Okay. On this positive note, I request Dipali to let me know if there are some questions on the chat box already.
Yeah, Ketan, we already got few questions before the session from Chetan. He has a question of how to create USP against my competitors.
Okay. Very good question. I think in part I've already answered it in the session, but I'll still throw some more light, Chetan. If you're still with us on the call, the idea is yes, you should build your USPs, and those USPs could be built at assessing your competitors' features. Have a look at what they are offering. उनके features क्या है? And then create features that are better and unique कि कोई और नहीं दे रहा है. लेकिन don't fixate yourself into just USPs. Please build in a UVP, build in a value proposition कि कल को तुम्हारे फीचर्स अगर कोई और कॉम्पिटिटर्स ने कोई नए आने वाले या एग्जिस्टिंग कॉम्पिटिटर्स ने वो फीचर्स मैच कर लिए. ऐसा होता है, राइट? व्हेन यू गो आउट इन द मार्केट, योर कस्टमर टेल्स यू दैट साहब आप ये सब ठीक है, लेकिन आपका वो जो कॉम्पिटिटर है वो मेरे को 3 महीने का क्रेडिट देता है, right? So you should have an answer to this, and most often than not, you end up giving an answer saying, "Sir, वो 3 महीने का देता, मैं 6 महीने का देता हूँ, आप बोलो," something like that. So then your competitor again is driving your strategy. You are not driving. Your customer is not driving, right? So create a UVP, and then creating USPs is rather easy. I mean, you just have to. You can make mock calls to your customers, visit your customers, and find out what are their features, what are their USPs, make them better. But do not forget to plant a UVP also into your strategy. I hope I have answered, Chetan. There were 2 questions you said, Dipali.
Yes, there's one more from Mr. Manish. He's like, what are the low-cost marketing ideas in these times?
Yes, Mr. Manish had sent me a question on my WhatsApp also this morning. His question was how to make use of the 3 lakh crore fund that government has allocated for MSMEs. And now the question, once again, I'm sorry, Dipali, can you repeat that question?
It's like, what are the low-cost marketing ideas in these times?
Yes. So, Mr. Manish, firstly, to answer this question, there are truckload of low-cost marketing ideas, and one of the idea, I mean, we can always have a one-to-one call and discuss specifically what applies for your business in person. But this market is the right time. Actually, it's an opportunity. This COVID scenario is an opportunity to exploit low-cost tools such as digital media marketing. The social media marketing tools, they are very, very cost effective. I mean, I'm surprised that some of the things can actually be done completely free of cost. I'm saying not time cost, I'm saying cost of paying for that engine. Some of the things can be done absolutely free of cost. Like today, I don't know what is the count, must be 30-40 odd people in this webinar, and I haven't spent a single rupee to get you all here. And that is possible because of social media. Mr. Manish, you yourself are sitting in Raipur. The last webinar that we did, we had a few people from Indonesia call. Prior to that, there were some from other countries also. If I were to do a seminar on this in some hotel, I could have never got you as an audience. Plus, whatever audience I would have got, I would have had to spend a lot. But I could do this for absolutely negligible. I wouldn't say free, but a very negligible cost. And the marketing part I could do for free this time. No? So low cost tools in terms of digital media, there are plenty of them. In fact, I'm just collecting data on how to create a webinar for specifically this subject where we discuss low cost marketing tools and strategies. And I'm sure I'll send you an invite to that, and where we can talk in detail about more of them. I would suggest, if low cost is the engine that you're looking at, firstly challenge yourself on your conventional thoughts, if there are any. Do not go for newspapers, hoardings. ये तो COVID है, but COVID से पहले ही these engines have become already pretty obsolete. Because if you put up a hoarding in a city like Pune, the average is around 3 lakh for a decent location. It is 3 lakh rupee per month, and you don't even know who all are who all are seeing your hoarding. So there is no way you can interact. There is no way you can track that much data. सिर्फ मोटा-मोटा अंदाज लगाया जा सकता है. When I was in Raipur marketing, when we first met, when I was marketing the Chhattisgarh T20 League, that government initiative, We had put hoardings, and the average cost was around 60,000 per hoarding per month. So these are exorbitant amount of monies, and with something that I can't measure the output. So please don't fall for these. Use digital media, use your personal networks, leverage them, leverage these online tools. I think that's one. And to answer your question about how to make better use of this opportunity of 3 lakh crores that government has allocated, वो जो last webinar में हमने discuss किया था, first thing is we will all have to have a very sound business report, a business plan in place. Why this becomes more important now is because last time जब हमने webinar किया था तब ये announcement नहीं हुई थी. But so government has done a very good job by giving that 3 lakh crores allocation. One thing that has also happened that not a lot of analysts are realizing, before COVID, already organizations like CII, FICCI, I think maybe your organization also, Dicky, they have all made appeals to the government कि ये जो माइक्रो और स्मॉल का जो कैटेगराइजेशन है फंड्स ये रेवेन्यूज का, इसको बदलिए. प्लीज चेंज कैटेगरीज बिकॉज what you have defined as micro, what government has defined as micro is no longer micro. तो गवर्नमेंट ने somehow इसी वक्त पे वो डिसीजन लिया है to change that definition of micro. It is good, but it is bad also. How it is bad is now companies with I think 100 crores of turnover are still micro and small. Okay, now what happens is जो 100 crore तक पहुंचा है उसका ऑलरेडी बैंक्स और ये फंडिंग मैकेनिज्म जो है, ये जो इंडस्ट्री है उसके साथ ऑलरेडी एक रिलेशन बना हुआ है. एंड बैंक अल्टीमेटली टू पास दैट लोन, the final call will stay with the banks, the bank managers, and banks will quite obviously give a first preference to people who are already in a relation with them, their existing customers. And if you see that way, government itself has said that there will be around 20 lakh, 2 million businesses that will be benefited out of this. Now, I don't know where they have pulled this statistic from, but even if that is true, I'm sure there are much more businesses than 200,000 or 2 million in India. Okay, so हम तक वो opportunity, हम तक वो effect trickle down हो कि कब तक आएगा, I'm not very sure. So अगर आपके लिए सबसे बेस्ट तरीका ये है कि आपका किसी बैंक के साथ ऑलरेडी रिलेशन है तो उसी चैनल पे और थोड़ा प्रेशर डाल के आप कीजिए, लेकिन क्रिएट अ बिजनेस प्लान दैट इज वेरी इफेक्टिव एंड with the data that we have used, I hope it is of some use to you, and build a business plan that also highlights your differentiators. At the end of the day, the banks are also going to see what is the reason why I should put money in your business. इसमें क्या ऐसा अलग है? तो यही differentiators आपके बैंक के लिए भी differentiators है. So build a business plan accordingly. And if we need to talk in person about these, I'm always available, as you know.
Okay. Ketan, Suyog wants to ask you some questions,
Yes.
so I'll just unmute him.
Yeah, sure. Suyog bhai, hi. Can you hear me?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, good evening, Ketan.
Good evening, Suyog bhai.
I have used your services quite some time before, and this has been a very good session, like always. My question is, what is your differentiation, Aacharan uniqueness?
What is my Aacharan's uniqueness?
Yes, Aacharan.
Okay, so I belong to an industry, as you know already. I've worked with you on a few assignments. I belong to an industry where it is run by a lot of frameworks and a lot of methodologies formulated mostly in the West. But if I were to tell you in a nutshell as to what our differentiation is, at the core, our uniqueness is we understand that our clients are unique. Our uniqueness is we understand that you are unique. Okay. So to be able to do that, what we do, so this central philosophy of our differentiation defines every action that we take. I'm sure you have also seen that I have never taken any assignment of yours or any other client without doing a diagnosis first. No, ऐसा ना हो कि ये मालकम बाल्डरिज मॉडल है या ये TQMS टाटा क्वालिटी मैनेजमेंट सर्विसेज का ये मॉडल है, इसको उठाओ और मैंने ट्रैवल इंडस्ट्री में एक क्लाइंट के साथ काम किया है या ट्रैवल इंडस्ट्री के जो बड़े लोग हैं वो इस मॉडल पे काम करते हैं तो इसको उठाओ और रखो. Now the problem is even if you are in the same league and the same industry as your competitor, but your business problems and your roadblocks and your strengths, weaknesses could be very different from your competitor. So if one framework, one model has worked for one client, it may or may not, mostly may not work for some other client. So that's why initial years we saw a lot of rush that most management consultants are talking about Malcolm Baldrige models and TQMSs and whatnots. और हमको कभी कभी डर भी लगता था कि यार ये सब क्या है, मतलब इसमें प्रोफिशिएंसी आना पड़ेगा. बट हियर्स द पॉइंट, we say that this may, और अगर Malcolm Baldrige मॉडल को थोड़ा ट्वीक करना पड़े किसी एक क्लाइंट के लिए तो why not? I mean, at the end of the day we are in this business to deliver results for our clients. So yeah, that is our core differentiation. And then other points are things like we don't just advise, like management consulting or strategy consulting industry is perceived कि आएंगे कोई एक business problem पे मशवरा देंगे and चले जाएंगे. But what we realize is most of our clients, when we give them a strategy, it sounds good. जैसे अभी भी हमने जो बात किया, आपने कहा कि the session is good, and I'm sure it will always sound good because we put in a lot of research in developing these things. पर पॉइंट ये है कि आपको अगर मैं ये स्ट्रैटेजी दे भी दूं तो कई बार ऐसा हो सकता है कि आपकी कंपनी में ऐसा रिसोर्स ही नहीं है आपके पास जो इस स्ट्रैटेजी को एग्जीक्यूट कर पाए. तो अगर वैसा है तो ये कितनी अच्छी स्ट्रैटेजी हो, ये बुक शेल्फ में जाके पड़ जाएगी. तो ये ना हो, इसलिए वी आल्सो रोल आवर स्लीव्स अप एंड एक्सिक्यूट देम फॉर आवर क्लाइंट्स. So we are moving away from just being an advisory role to being an execution role. That is, I think, our second key differentiation. And yes, then otherwise तो हमारा भी presentation थोड़े बहुत USP से भरा होता है कि we are time bound. But yeah, most consultants are time bound. One uniqueness which I don't know if it is a USP or a UVP, but one uniqueness that we have successfully built since some time is we put our skin in the game. Okay, when we talk of results, we also put our own remuneration based on the performance that we deliver, based on the results we deliver. We worked out a model to be able to do that. So, मतलब in a way, हम सिर्फ आके ज्ञान नहीं देते हैं, तो we also take responsibilities of the results that we say. We get paid only if we deliver those results. So yeah, these are our uniqueness.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, there is another question from Archana she would like to ask.
Yes.
I'll just unmute you. Yeah, Archana, are you there?
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi, Ketan. So yeah, it's very useful session so far, like for beginners, to identify the key areas. And I have one question, like when you said like inconsistent market, does it mean like it's a niche market?
Oh, very good question actually, Archana.
Yeah.
Uncontested market, is it a niche market? Okay. The answer is very complex, I would say. It may look like it is niche, and sometimes it is. But what I meant actually by an uncontested market is that market where you kind of eliminate competition mostly. Okay, a niche market may or may not be a uncontested market. To give you an example, if you are in clothing industry, okay, and you are into premium lines like Rohit Bals or Satya Pauls, so their niche is so everybody needs clothing, but their niche is people who are consumers of designer wear, okay, and it is expensive. Yeah. So they have clearly cut out niche, but there are so many brands that do not have a clearly defined niche, are moving into various categories of market seamlessly, but they have an uncontested space. To give you an example, here is something like a Fab India. Right? Fab India ऐसा नहीं है कि only super rich or uber rich people can go and buy Fab India. Almost anybody and everybody can buy. They have offerings for different type of niches, But the market that they are in, the kind of market that they have created for themselves, the हैंड वूवन होगा, हैंडमेड होगा, आर्टिस्ट का जो लोकल आर्टिस्ट है उनका काम बेचा जाएगा, ये जो चीजें की उन्होंने, ये जो डिफरेंशिएटर्स लाए हैं, इससे दे हैव बिल्ट एन अनकंटेस्टेड मार्केट now, and plus add to it their legacy of doing things. They have created a market which nobody can contest. Okay, not nobody, but most people would find it difficult to contest. तो आपको अगर कुछ ethnic at a very good price लेना है तो more often than not you will get into Fab India. So that's what I meant by uncontested market. It may or may not be a niche, but it has to be uncontested. I hope I have answered.
Yeah, thanks, Ketan.
Okay, Ketan, we have one question from Anu. Let me go to that. Okay, when it comes to mobiles, for many, it's still Apple they are focusing on the experience as a value proposition. So,
Yes.
like they heavily focus on innovation. What do you think is their UVP?
Is there UVP? Okay.
Yeah, like for
Another
Apple.
another very insightful question actually. I was so Apple for me personally also is the epitome of differentiation. They are quintessential differentiators when it comes to marketing strategy. I think it is not just like that. It is not just because of their innovative abilities that they are rated as the top three companies when it comes to market capitalization in the world. उनकी इतनी ज़्यादा हिस्ट्री भी नहीं है, and their market share is not more than 5 to 6% in each space. I think in mobiles they have a higher, but in computing they have just 5% market share. So कम market share, कम history, इनके बावजूद they are at that position. There is a reason. Yes, like if you go out in the market, like you said, people consider Apple as a epitome of innovation, which it is. I'm not doubting that. But अगर उनकी UVP की बात करें, तो I never see them talking about or promoting themselves about their features or or how technically strong their mobile is. They might do it one or the other times in between, but what they basically emphasize is they always say our company is um, in the business of helping its customers look different. They are creating a value offering कि अगर आप एप्पल के कस्टमर हो, अगर आपके पास एप्पल का मोबाइल है, तो आप नॉर्मल लोगों से अलग लगो, ये उनका यूवीपी है. और इसीलिए आई थिंक देव नेवर एवर हैड अ टारगेट ऑफ हैविंग द हाईएस्ट मार्केट शेयर, क्योंकि अगर मार्केट में सबसे ज्यादा लोग ही ऐसा प्रोडक्ट यूज करने लगे जो स्टैंड आउट हो, तो फिर वो स्टैंड आउट नहीं रहेगा, राइट? लाइक इफ एवरीबडी स्टार्ट्स यूजिंग ए एप्पल मोबाइल इज नॉट हेल्पिंग यू स्टैंड आउट एनीमोर. And I'm sure you have seen this also. Like we have experienced this. Now, when we sit in a meeting or even with friends, casual interactions, if somebody puts the latest Apple mobile on the desk, it does grab an eyeball. It does make that person stand out. This also gives them, I think, according to me, this UVP also helps them tomorrow if they want to diversify. Their their core still remains intact. Let's say tomorrow they want to enter a clothing line. Let's say they start getting into making suits for men. They can, right? And all they have to say is once you wear an Apple suit, you will stand out. That's all they have to do. And I think this one thing has helped them create such a product which in this cutthroat competition of mobiles for more than a decade now, the latest edition that they launch is always at least 30% more expensive than the next competitor. So it is a miracle, and it's not just by chance that this has happened. A lot of people say Apple is just a fashion statement. Yes, it is. Yeah, that's what it is. They say that we are a company that helps our clients stand out, look different. I hope I've answered, Anu. Is there any other question?
Yes, Ketan. There's one question. I don't see the name, but does Aacharan help you help in creating the business plan or the project plan?
Yes.
Company
So
help in that.
hello, I couldn't hear the last part, Dipali.
Like, does Aacharan help in creating these project plans and business plans
Yes,
with their
yes.
plans?
Yes, in fact, Aacharan specializes in helping create a business plan and a differentiation strategy. We are, like I said, we are a strategy consulting firm where we help you. But okay, if you're thinking about just creating a financial model based on numbers, that any CA can also do for you. Okay? Because it's just about create that they have templates ready, they just have to put in numbers. What we help you do is uh, firstly decide a strategy for those numbers to come up. Okay, build in review mechanisms. We do a deep rooted job when it comes to creating a business report, because we firmly believe that a business report should not just be looked as a tool to get funds and loan. Okay, that is its use, but that's not its only use. The same business report will act as a benchmark for your business review mechanism. Once you get into business, let's say आपने 3 महीने का ये माइलस्टोन लिखा है आपके बिजनेस रिपोर्ट में, तो वो हुआ है या नहीं, इसके लिए भी वो बिजनेस रिपोर्ट यूज होने वाली है. It is also a document that is used to bring in buy-in, trust, faith from people, from your ecosystem, from stakeholders. By stakeholders, I also mean employees, clients, vendors, everybody. Anybody who's interacting with you, their trust is at stake. And for you to be able to deliver on it, your business report has to be deep rooted in your strategy, or vice versa. So we, as a strategy consulting firm, yes, we definitely help you create one, and we also help you align your business to your project report or your business plan.
Okay, yeah, that's it. I don't have any questions in the chat window, Ketan.
Okay,
If somebody wants to ask, maybe they can raise the hand and I'll unmute them.
give them a right to unmute themselves, maybe.
Uniqueness of handling situation, handling situation. So never give up, never quit. Because give all of us our idea.
Ketan, there's a lot of noise if I unmute everybody, so I don't know, like, should.
Ketan, unmute yourself, please.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So whoever wants to ask a question, please unmute yourself. Or if not, then just type in the chat box, and either from Dipali, Bhagisri, or Prasad may help me read that question. Until somebody comes up with a question, I don't know if you guys have realized, as a conscious effort to build in some amount of differentiation in this webinar also, all the examples that we have looked at are strictly Indian, and that's by conscious choice, that's by design. We have taken examples, we've taken case studies which are Indian, because my objective was, when I saw the participants registration list, so an overwhelming majority of Indian business people. So I thought it would be nice if we could see things in Indian context. More so because creating a differentiator, if we are talking about a differentiator of a firm, let's say Nike, we're talking about their differentiator. It could be very different. It could be sometimes misleading, because their markets, consumers' behavior could also be very different. So that's why we try to stay away from those examples, and we've strictly brought in Indian examples. Any questions, Dipali?
No, I don't think there are any. There's just some messages for you
Okay.
which have been on the session.
Okay.
Maybe you can read them later.
Okay. So I have stopped screen share. On this happy note, I think since we're done with our questions, we are all ready to sign off. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. I'm going to send an email later, which will also have the copy of this deck, just in case you want to make use of this further. And it will also have our contact details. So just in case if somebody wants to reach out to us, needs our help, or has some assignment for us, it's always welcome. Even if you need any help just to verify what you've done is right or no, I'm always a call away. If at all I am unavailable or I'm into something, I may not answer or not respond immediately, but I'll definitely come back to you. So thank you so much for being here, guys, on a Saturday evening. This means a lot to us. I hope we could add some value to you through this interaction today. And we are planning a series of more webinars. This is our third, and we're planning some more. So we'll keep sending you the invites. And if you think the topic is of interest to you, please join, and we'd love to host you once again. Thank you so much, friends. Thank you so much.